Welcome to Your Need to Know. I'm your host, Catherine Reed, and today we're going to be talking with the Executive Director of ComputerCORE, Lynn O'Connell. Welcome. So, thank you so much for joining me, Lynn.
Thank you, Catherine. We're delighted to be here today.
So, ComputerCORE has been around in Northern Virginia for quite a long time, and you guys provide an array of services that maybe our viewers have not heard about. So, why don't you start at the beginning of how ComputerCORE came to be here and walk us a little bit through your evolution of where you started from and where you are now.
Exactly. I always jokingly say ComputerCORE is one of the hidden gems of Northern Virginia. Back in 1999, a young woman named Deb Repke moved here from Iowa. She was working for a defense contractor and had been a computer IT administrator at her college before relocating to DC. At her church, they had an open wing during the week, which was only used for Sunday school on Sundays. And so she came up with the concept, wouldn't it be great to help adults learn about computer skills? It was 1999, right, and you needed to have some computer skills, she thought. So she began ComputerCORE that year. The first graduating class had 3 students. And then as time went on, the program gained recognition and began to grow. By about 2006, the program was up to about 48 students in each graduating class. Then in 2007, the board of directors of ComputerCORE began to look at the concept, there may be more to this that we're doing than simply computer literacy. Maybe we should reach further and make our focus workforce development, which they did. And at that point, ComputerCORE's mission became to provide low-income adults with technological and professional skills to help them achieve career aspirations. Our tagline is building careers in community, because what we've learned is when we bring the adults together in a classroom, 12 students, and then 4 to 6 volunteer instructors as well, we find that not only do they gain computer skills, but they also gain confidence on the computer, confidence in interacting with other diverse people and nationalities. They also gain competency and workforce readiness skills, and they build a support system, a community of people that they can network with and help them get new jobs. Well, and it works.
And relationships are important. So you have a cohort of students. So,
exactly.
You know, and that, I think a lot of programs, from leadership programs to other kinds of programs, when you have a cohort of students, those relationships naturally evolve, and that helps later on when you're out in the workforce and you're moving around. So I'm assuming when you help people to get ready for the workforce, you're also helping them to try to find that entry position that moves them into maybe a new career for them. Can you talk a little bit about how you do that?
One of CORE's niches is that we're there to serve any low-income adult who's highly motivated to get a job or a better job. So in one cohort of 12, we have had before a Pakistani woman with a 5th grade education from Pakistan and an aerospace engineer with a PhD from Ethiopia, all in the same class.
Wow.
But what I've learned, and I did not expect this when I came to CORE, I thought when I came in 2008, by 2010, we wouldn't need to be teaching computer skills.
Right? Everybody would know.
Trust me, we do. But what we learned is no matter what your level of education or no matter what your former pay, we have individuals come into our program who came to us before they lost their jobs with salaries nearly $300,000.
Right.
Then they'd been unemployed for 5 or 6 years and couldn't get back in the workforce. So it's a leveler. So folks come in and we work with them to help them look at their skill set and their goals and their requirements and help them find a job and a career pathway and an educational pathway that works for them.
So how do you find the students, or how do the students find you?
We're very lucky at ComputerCORE as we enter now, approaching our 20th year, in that it's 90 to 95% alumni referrals. Our graduates have tended to be some of our biggest supporters and ambassadors. For 2016, 87% of our graduates made 1 or more financial contributions to ComputerCORE.
Wow.
We find, and you'll be introduced to Evelyn shortly, we tend to have 10 to 15 who come back as volunteer instructors the term after they graduate.
So that would be my next question, is where do you find your instructors? And you've just answered part of that is your alumni.
It's amazing. We have 284 active volunteers, and then other times periodic volunteers like yourself.
Right,
Who's been a volunteer.
Yes, I have done that. And that's because you came to the City of Fairfax Rotary Club.
That's right.
And did a presentation,
That's right.
and you said, tonight we have, it's role playing for job interviews, and was there anybody in the Rotary Club? And I happened to be visiting that Rotary Club. That's not even my Rotary Club.
That's right.
But I happened to be visiting. I'm like, yeah, I can actually do that. And so three of us, two members,
I remember.
we came and actually sat down and went through the role playing of helping people practice for job interviews.
So anyway, I am shocked to tell you that we actually don't have a problem getting volunteers. Sometimes it's a problem to match them. I think it's because our other niche, beyond serving any adult in need of help with jobs, is that we are a community-based, volunteer-driven nonprofit. Volunteer-driven is a little different in the sense that most of our volunteer opportunities are skills-based, and then when the volunteers come to us, they have an opportunity to have authority and have control over their
area of expertise. Right.
And so they love that. I mean, it's a certain type of volunteer. Not everyone wants that. I myself sometimes just want to go to the food bank and give food out for 2 hours and come home. But our volunteers typically want authority and responsibility and challenges. Our average volunteer retention rate is 3 years. We have a number of volunteers who've been in their positions longer than I've been with CORE, which is nearly a decade.
See, and that is a testament to not only how it works for your students, but how it works for your volunteers, which is really important. You want to provide the right opportunity so it's a good fit and the volunteer has a really good experience.
And with our students, I jokingly say it's all consenting adults. All of our volunteers, all of our students come because they really are passionate and highly motivated to do what we're doing.
So how do you collaborate with other organizations? I mean, there's got to be a lot of nonprofits who are looking at what you do saying, oh, the people we serve could so use what you're offering.
Partnerships is what we're all about. It's what has allowed us to expand from, in 2008, 1 site to 7 sites where we have our full 18-week program, and then a myriad of sites throughout Northern Virginia where we do short courses. So we're overwhelmed with requests, quite honestly. We don't have the capacity to meet all the needs for everyone. But we do tend to try to partner with organizations where if they have a space with a bit of Wi-Fi, or we can bring in a router, and they have clients in need and highly motivated for job seeking, then we actually can go in. It's almost like a classroom or a project in a box. We can go in with our IT equipment, so we bring all the computers, all the cables, the server. We come in with our curriculum, we come in with our volunteers, and we can run the program on site at their location, which also overcomes barriers of transportation, childcare.
So
key.
key.
Just fear issues.
Right. So if somebody, and you talked about capacity, and there are things that are needed for capacity building, and one of them is resources, and the main resource being money. But I would assume that the other resource is computer equipment too.
Exactly. Now, yes, charitable contributions. ComputerCORE relies entirely on charitable contributions for our support, so that's very important. But yes, beyond that, every day we need donations of desktop computers for our classrooms, laptops, because we also try to give every student in need a home laptop to keep. We also need flash drives. We need binders. So any of that, and it's an ongoing. Currently, we serve about 260 students annually. Right. So we have a chronic need for those items.
Well, that's good for people to know, because there are lots of ways for people to support the work that you're doing. And if we're going to help to expand the work that you're doing, then we need to talk about capacity building, because I can imagine, to your point, bringing the classes to where the students are. Transportation really is a problem, and childcare really is a problem. So if other organizations at this point even wanted to partner with you, you would have to figure out how to put all of these things in place.
Exactly. So the donations really matter. So as watchers are thinking about where they work, where they go to church, about their Rotary clubs, could they do a drive or gather together any sort of computers, laptops, flash drives, binders? We'd love to have them.
You know, and I'm thinking too, there are a lot of offices that do clean outs and they get rid of things like binders because nobody,
exactly.
You know, like my husband's law firm, they scan all the document, and so there's a point at which if you're going to digitize everything, don't throw out those binders. That's one. And the same with computer equipment. If you're upgrading your computer equipment at your office, people need to think to themselves, what can we do with this old computer equipment? How about finding an organization like yours where it can be refurbished and rehabbed and put into place.
And we are a Microsoft certified refurbisher, so we have volunteers of course, who are certified to wipe clean the machines and totally refurbish them. We have a partnership with Microsoft, so we get discounted Windows licenses as well as Microsoft Office to put on the computer desktops and the laptops we give to the students.
And the laptops are so key too. What good does it do you to learn something and then go home and have nothing on which to practice or to actually use what you learned in class?
And the other brilliant part of it is we put, again, exactly what they're using in the classroom on their laptops. So they really have an ability to practice. It also gives them the ability, of course, when they're not in class, to be applying for jobs,
right,
tweaking the resume,
right,
sending emails and follow-up email thank yous after job interviews.
Things like that. And I would assume that too, that this really benefits the whole family if we're talking about adults who are in homes with children where there isn't a computer. So
absolutely. And it also, the role modeling. Most of this, our adult students will say, you know, I love it when my children see me studying. And our graduations, oh my goodness. At our graduations, they all bring their children and they all dress up in their best clothes, and then we have the graduation ceremony and they go up on stage and they get their certificate and everyone claps and there's hundreds of photos. It really sets a great model for their students.
It does, and it sets the stage too for a transformation and a transition into the next stage and the next chapter. And so it's interesting to me that your graduates are coming back as volunteers. I know we're going to talk to Evelyn in a few minutes, but you know, what would you say to people who are considering whether this is a really good investment of their time, assuming that people's real hurdle is how do I find the time if I'm working 3 jobs and I have to take a bus to get there?
I will say it's not for everyone. I mean, you have to decide, but if you're looking for substantive, skills-based volunteering and you truly want to feel like you're making an impact and see that impact, come in. I mean, when the students run into the instructors later or email them or come back and visit and say, I got that job, or guess what, I got that promotion, or guess what, I just graduated from UVA.
Wow.
You know, what can you do that's more powerful and more meaningful? And you're not just changing one life, you're also changing the lives probably of the children and the grandchildren. And you know what our volunteers say?
What?
They get more out of it than the students.
You know, that is so true. And I've heard that in hosting the show for lots of organizations, that's exactly what I hear. That people are like, this is the most important, meaningful work I've ever done, aside from whatever their career was. And so I appreciate you joining us, Lynn. This has been very informative. Please join us after the break when we're going to be talking with Evelyn Woodard.